I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. Welcome in Thursday, December 5th, the Daily Puck Drop, broadcasting from the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, we're talking to you. They got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. They've got the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. Yes, I did not know what a stock molding was until I went and talked to those guys. Old school service. They've been doing it since 1930. Give the friends there at Limback Lumber a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. If you're not following on all the social media platforms, please do so. Puck Sports on X, also on Instagram and Blue Sky. Puck _sports on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook at Puck Sports. And as always, that beautiful QR code if you're streaming the show. That will take you to the Puck's Posse community membership. Click on that QR code or just go to pucksports.com. Click at the top, and it's going to take you right to our Puck's Posse community page on Patreon, where you can listen to our Mariners Diamond Table show. You can also watch our Mariners Offseason Diamond Table show. If you just want to listen to the platforms, you can also download the Patreon app there as well. Members, if you become a full member, members get full access and all VIP content. So you want full access in the future to everything, become a Puck's Posse community member. Again, pucksports.com, or just go to Puck Sports and search there on patreon.com. All right. Every single day, daily puck drop. What comes out at 10 a.m., we do it live to around 11:30 or so, sometimes 11:45. I don't know. I get long-winded. Again, for those listening later, now live crowd, just be patient. Those listening later or watching later, we go live every single day there at 10 a.m. Got an email the other day saying, hey, do you go live? Yeah, we go live. It's here on X, also on YouTube, Puck Sports. You can also download our Puck Sports mobile app on iOS and Android if you just want to listen to it and plug it right into your car, your commute right now. The commute's probably still going on because the commute's always going on. Because why? There's construction everywhere. Non-stop construction. Stop with all the damn construction. All right, Mariners rundown, or excuse me, show rundown. Pressure on Ryan Grubb. Mariners frustration. Mike Garafolo coming up at 10:20. Michael-Shawn Dugar, the Dugar Report. That's right, we've added to our NFL and Seahawks lineup with the great Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. He's going to be joining us every single Thursday. Truth be told, we recorded earlier today, because here's the deal. Dugar's got stuff to do, and he doesn't need for me to harass him. So we had the conversation earlier today. He's got a young family. All right? Leave the guy alone. And so Dugar coming up at 11 o'clock. Hey, What the Puck coming up at 11:30 as always. All right. I was going to start off with the pressure on Ryan Grubb, and I'm not necessarily going to go in that order because this is a pickup of a conversation that myself and Rob State and SeahawksDraftBlog.com had yesterday. And I love Rob. Rob to me is just, I mean, I've loved him for years. That's why we had him on back in the radio days, have him on here. He's opinionated. And here's the deal. Like me and others, he doesn't care if you're wrong because it's a freaking opinion. So whatever. But, you know, pretty opinionated on the future of Ryan Grubb. We'll get into that. Also yesterday, Ryan Divish was back, our offseason cold stove report, because that's what it is. It's icy cold because nothing's going on with the Mariners. Winter meetings start Sunday there in Dallas. Divish and Adam Jude of the Seattle Times will be there covering it. So make sure you follow those guys on all your social media platforms. And then they'll probably do their Extra Innings podcast there up at seattletimes.com. But make sure you follow all their stuff as they are in Dallas. Let me pause for a sip of the hot coffee. Actually, this is hot water. I like to go back and forth. Hot water, and then there's the coffee. Double dip. Why hot water? I don't know. I just like hot water. We'll get into the Seahawks-Cardinals, their matchup coming up this week. Great Thursday night game coming up tonight there as well. Let me jump in real quick here to the Mariners because Divish on yesterday, offseason cold stove report. We talked a lot about Alec Boehm. Jude had wrote about it, and Jude did a great job of reporting his intel, telling him, yes, the Phillies and Mariners have had conversations. I promised Jude today I would just read verbatim from his article, in which Jude replied, and this is why I love him, isn't that what you always do? Hey, Jude, if you're watching right now, listening, F you, man. That's an unfair, actually fair shot, but still unfair. Okay. That they've had preliminary discussions, but the two names that have been brought up are Logan Gilbert and George Kirby. Hey, Phillies, you can go F right off, man. That's not happening. And if they were to do that deal for him, who is just, he's a nice player, and there's some offensive skill set, and it would be an upgrade of what you have and what you have had, but it's not worth that. And they're not getting George Kirby, nor are they getting Logan Gilbert. He's not all that great of a defender anyways. And as Divish and I discussed a little bit yesterday, we've discussed in the past too, I mean, he had a real big drop-off offensively. And if you can't hit there in that ballpark, which is a hitter-friendly ballpark, most everyone hits there, what the hell's going to happen here? We're hitters, good hitters. Great, they go here to die. And so what would happen to Boehm if he came here? There's a reason the Phillies want to get rid of him. And as we discussed yesterday, Divish and I, on the show, which you can go, again, watch it on YouTube. When you're there, subscribe. Come on, boost it up. Let's get those subscriber numbers going through the roof. Also, you can listen to it on all the other platforms. But as we discussed yesterday, that just, to me, is a red flag. Red flag why they want to get rid of him. What is it? What's wrong with him? Is it the attitude? He hasn't done well with Philly fans, hasn't done well with the media. Obviously, the no shot to the Seattle media here. There's just more people there in Philly. There's more of a pressure there. Didn't get along well with them, so I don't know. I think there's a red flag with Boehm. I mean, if you want to do some prospects, sure. But there's just no chance in hell you're parting with Gilbert or Kirby. I don't want to trade any of those guys. Like, none of those starting pitchers. Now, I'll trade Luis Castillo, and I'm telling you, I'll trade him even more now today, because this is why I wanted to lead off with this instead of going to the Ryan Grubb stuff. Because just come down about 10 minutes ago, Luis Severino just got a 72, or was it 76? $76-ish million deal from the A's. Luis Severino. Just got paid. And, no. That's why you trade Castillo right now. This is why you have to do it. It's a 3-year deal. I think it's $67 million. It's $67 million. This is why you trade Castillo. I know before you comment, he has a no-trade clause. I get that, okay? He can waive his no-trade clause if you make an attractive deal. And if it makes sense for him, and if he wants to go. If he doesn't want to go, then obviously he has all the power. But you have to actively now be trading him and wanting to trade him. Because as we've discussed, not only with Divish yesterday, but we discussed this on the Mariners Diamond Table. And again, if you're not a subscriber to Puck Sports or the Pucks Posse, become a subscriber. $5 a month, $54 for a year. It's a deal. There's other people charging a lot more. I'm giving you a deal. It is that show that we did a few weeks ago. It's 2.5 hours of just like in-depth baseball talk with Divish and Jude. Those guys are on for damn near an hour. Bill Kruger and Brad Adam with just great perspective on Root Sports and everything that's going on with that situation and the team itself. And then our GM, Jim Duquette. So if you're a baseball fan and you haven't subscribed yet, I would subscribe right now and go listen to that. As we discussed, though, with Jude and Divish on that show, in terms of Luis Castillo, I mean, the market. Look at this market right now for pitchers. I mean, it's obvious to everyone. Everybody wants pitching. That's the number one thing you want in baseball. They've got it. They've got a plethora of it, and then they've got 4 guys that make nothing right now. They've got 1 guy that makes something. And that one guy who makes something is what, 3 years? I wrote it down. $72 million, I think. It's a bargain. It's a bargain right now. Roughly the same age. I think he's 30. What is Castillo? 31. Severino's 30. He's a better pitcher than Severino. Okay? And if a contender, they would look at that deal and go, this is the type of pitcher that we are getting in Castillo is a bargain. Look what Matt Boyd's a local guy. Matt Boyd got $30 million over 2 years from the Cubs. Matt Boyd. Blake Snell, another local guy. And Blake Snell is a very good pitcher. I mean, an elite pitcher. He's awesome. Doesn't go late in games, but he's an elite pitcher. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. $182 million. I mean, the time is now. I mean, I would assume that they are actively trying to get a move there for Luis Castillo, but that's the move. That's the move they need to make. The options when you start looking about how they're going to, upgrade this infield. What are they going to look at second base and third base? And it's a discussion that we got in yesterday, Divish and I. And I'll play you what Divish said, and he's 100% right. They're just, if that is the asking price, and of course that's what the Phillies are going to want, they're going to ask for the moon. You come back and say, well, you're not going to get any of that. But with the asking price there for the Phillies saying, oh yeah, we'll take Gilbert or Kirby. No.
Asking for Kirby or Gilbert for Alec Boehm. I'm like, are they on drugs?
Yeah.
If you look at what Alec Boehm has done, he had 2 really good months in his career to earn an all-star thing. And the rest of the time, it's been pretty middling to poor. His defense has regressed, everything else. So 2 good months. I mean, and he's getting more expensive. I just don't see the draw and all that. There's a reason why the Phillies are getting rid of him.
Right. Yeah, that's the red flag to me. That to me is the biggest red flag. There's a reason they don't want him around anymore.
Yeah, and I think, he's had some issues with Philly fans, all that other stuff, but they're looking around saying, well, we can do better than this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think that the Mariners should be dumpster diving for players. I think they should be making trades. And if they wanted to trade for Alec Boehm but give up a prospect, that's fine.
Yeah, and that last part and what we just had said there is, you want to give up a prospect for him, fine, but you're not giving up starting talent. You're not getting up a starting pitcher for Alec Boehm. It's not worth it. Nico Horner is also a name that's been out there. I know Jude threw that out there in the paper there as well. What would the cost be? As Adam pointed out, and certainly I think we all agree with it, they're going to want, major league ready talent coming back. What does that mean for Seattle? I mean, it's like they're going to want one of those pitchers. I mean, not going to part with one of those pitchers again for Nico Horner. That's not going to happen. So, again, you're looking at a situation. Can you get the Cubs, if you wanted to go down that road, can you get the Cubs to bite? Well, maybe the Cubs bite on Castillo. I don't know. See if they want Luis Castillo. Do that right now. Sure. And maybe they would bite on some of the other prospects. I don't know. I just think that, again, when you look at the core of their pitchers, there's just the young core. You're not moving on from those guys. But, the options in free agency, it's slim to none. I mean, second base, you're not going to touch anything there. Price tag for Kim for San Diego's is out of their price range. They're not doing anything. Third base, there's no options. I mean, they're not getting Bregman. That's going to happen. They've been linked to that Hai-Sung Kim, and I'm going to butcher all because there's 15 different versions there's 15 different players. But Hai-Sung Kim, who was posted yesterday, I believe, 25, 26 years old, infielder, plays second base. Contact hitter, doesn't strike out. Good defender. 3 Gold Gloves over in Korea. 3 straight years. 2 at second base, 1 at shortstop. Whatever the asking price is going to be for that, 24, 25 million, that seems like a move that Seattle would make. They're not going to make, they don't have a lot of money, as Jude has pointed out, not only with us when we did the show, but as Adam has pointed out in the paper and has done so many times. I think Adam has said I think he adjusted at one point. Is it now down to 15 million? They got about 15 million, 20 million. I mean, that's why Rojas isn't on the team anymore. They had a salary dump a guy making $4.5 million. That's why they had to get rid of him. What other internal options would they have at second base? I don't know. Ryan Bliss? No. I mean, is Cole Young ready to go? I mean, there's been some thought maybe later this year that they would give him a taste. He's going to be in AAA maybe next year. Others believe 2026. For Kim, going back to Kim, seems like he would fit the profile of what Seattle would want. Not a lot of money. Mentioned the Gold Gloves that he won. Last season, he hit 326. He had scored 90 runs. He had 30 stolen bases, on bases at 383, 20-plus stolen bases in 7 straight seasons, and doesn't strike out. 16% K rate. So, I don't know. That seems like kind of the route that those guys will go in. And it's frustrating. You see these other teams spend money, and you see the activity in free agency, and we're left with an organization, with a team that we all dearly love, and we just want to see them get in the postseason and win and do all the fun things that baseball in the postseason and during the fall is. But they just, makes them so frustrating to watch and to root for is that they're so close to it. They're so close to it with the pitching that they have, and some of the other somewhat young core pieces around in Cal and Julio that you just don't want to let it slip through. And the longer that they don't add to the core of this team, especially with the pitchers making zero money, the more they're going to find themselves not reaching their ultimate goal. Their ultimate goal, getting the postseason, win the whole damn thing. All right, moving on to the Seahawks. Pressure on Ryan Grubb. Is there really, after 12 games, pressure on Ryan Grubb? Rob Staten and I talked about it yesterday.
And worse every week. Gino's getting, he's not bad all of a sudden, but he's getting a little bit worse every single game, in my opinion. And people like DK and Tyler and Lockett and the tight ends not really featuring at all. It's just Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I just think we're going to get to a point here where they're going to have to get somebody who is perhaps a bit more experienced and more aligned to what Mike McDonald can do for next season. So
are you saying you ready to move on after 12 games from him?
I mean, I'll wait till the end of the season to have a firm I'm ready to move on, because if they turn things around in the next few weeks, it'll look ridiculous saying now I'm ready to move on if they do turn it around. But if it stays this way, then I think it may be inevitable. Pete Carroll did it after 1 year, moved on from Jeremy Bates. So it may be that they have to go and find somebody who can actually put the offense together that Mike McDonald wants.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I talked about this yesterday on Hey What the Puck. I'm gonna practice sports patience. It's hard. Sports patience is one of the hardest things that we all do, because and really, let's be honest here, patience in general, no one's patient anymore. Sports patience, we're losing a lot of it. We are, and I'm not saying that there have been decisions made where after 1 year you've moved on from someone and it was the right choice. Look no further than this organization, not so much with Jeremy Bates. I'm blanking. Who'd they go after Jeremy Bates? Was it Bevel? Did they go Bevel after Bates? I think so, right? But look no further than this organization, right? They had 1 year of more and said, yeah, that's not going to work. Let's move on. We're done. And it proved to be the single greatest decision the organization has ever made. So I'm not going to sit here and say that making a decision after 1 year can be knee-jerk and is the wrong decision. Although at that time, just to be fair, I remember when going through that stuff with Moore, I thought it was wrong, ultimately, but it turned out to be great. But I'm gonna practice patience with Ryan Grubb. I'm a little stunned with the reaction of some people wanting him gone. I really am. Because when you look at what he did last year at Washington, I would say to people, Garafolo's yelling at me in the green room. I'll get to you in a second. Can I just finish my point here? What he did last year against Washington, or for Washington, large in part based because of what he had up at the offensive line. I think the biggest reason why they're struggling this year, and I know people get annoyed just laying it all on the feet of the offensive line, is that offensive line. I don't know how much he can get to based on that group. I just don't. And hopefully it gets better. They have a little more continuity as the season winds down. All right, let's get to them. Ladies and gentlemen, every Thursday We talk NFL with our NFL insider.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're making it seem like I'm yelling to like get me on, get me on. You're texting me, are you ready? If you see me and I'm here, I'm ready. So don't act like I'm like, hey, what the frig, man? I got my time is valuable. It's not that. That's the opposite.
But that's what you said. You said my time's valuable. Put me on now.
Stop it.
Howard, God, look at that hat.
Yeah.
Are you just going to eat chips on the show? What are you doing? Stop.
I'm going to eat my entire lunch on the show.
Is that from what's the movie? Why am I blanking? Is that The Natural? Is that what the hat is? Mike Garafolo with
See my jacket? Yeah, my jacket's sweet. Wait, didn't we talk about this with you? Weren't you? I wore the night jacket.
Yeah. I don't know if you wore it. You brought it out though. I remember that.
No. I think I was wearing it with you, and we did a whole thing on it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a good looking hat. Really is. I love it. Mike's brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. Honesty, fairness, integrity. Contact Jamie Hartley, 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island, perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, catch the game. Check out Zogs on Facebook and Instagram for all their fall hours and event times. It's been a few weeks. How are you? Was good? Good Thanksgiving?
Good Thanksgiving. How about you?
Great. I was on a beach in Mexico, so that's the way you.
Were you really?
Yeah, that's how you got to spend Thanksgiving, Mike.
Flex.
That's how you got to do it. Kids were they were a little disappointed. There was a spot that's kind of by this that was doing it that like shows sports. Are like, we're doing a Thanksgiving dinner tonight. I'm like, can we go? I'm like, no, I'm not doing turkey here. Not gonna do it.
What'd you have? Tacos?
I had a whole. Basically, when I go down there, all I eat is fried whole fried fish snapper. That's what I had. They take the whole snapper.
So no
fry
feelings of like where's no stuffing,
nothing.
You know what's funny? Every year I look up the numbers for the number of turkeys that are killed on Thanksgiving. It's like 46 million. Which my buddy's a vegan, and we went out one time the night before Thanksgiving. We had a couple of drinks, and then I said something. I was like, "All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow." And he's like, "Nah, don't call me tomorrow." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Tough day for me." And I was like, "All right, I guess it is, right?" Why you laugh?
It's a tough day. It's a freaking turkey. God, come on, man. We've been eating animals forever. He's an animal. You know what your buddy would do? What's your buddy's name?
He's not my buddy anymore. He disappeared. He fell off the face of the earth.
What's his name?
Joe.
All right, Joe. You know what, Joe? You know what would happen to you, Joe, if a plane went down in the Andes, because this is a true story, and you had nothing to do and you just survive, you would eat Garafolo. That's what you would do to survive. So don't give me this, it's a tough day of the turkeys. I mean, come on.
So I look up the numbers and they say, 46 million and it's a huge chunk of the overall. But I always think to myself, all right, well, maybe sometime in March we'll make a turkey dinner, and you're not going to. So when you don't get that whole turkey dinner on Thanksgiving, you're not having that for another year. It's not like I can have it. You're not having it, are you?
We had it when we came home.
Oh, well, you did it. Okay.
We did it when we came home. It wasn't the same. It's not the same thing. But here's the deal. I love turkey, and I am one of the rare people that will make it throughout the year. Because I like, I'll have it, and then I'll slice it up for sandwiches. But then
whole turkey.
I'll make 15,000 things out of it. I've had it all week long.
Not just a turkey breast. A whole turkey.
With all of it. The dark meat.
Okay. I've told my wife
I like myself some dark meat. You know what I mean?
Did you ever see that news clip that went around about the dark meat and the white meat? It was great.
No, you got to send that to me.
You didn't see it?
No,
They're talking about dark and
I know
white
what they're
meat.
talking about.
You know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the one woman was in on it, but the one definitely was. And she goes, yeah, I like the dark meat, but I'll tell you what, after this Thanksgiving, I might be reconsidering, like totally talking about somebody. Oh, it was a great clip.
All right, let's get into some football. The biggest story is the suspension of Azeer. What do we think? Was it enough?
Yeah, I think it's fair. 3 games is a good number. Now, the number, and that's what Nick Caserio was upset about, was the number seems to be subjective. And it's sort of been all over the place. Like, this started as you'd get fined even more, you'd get a huge fine, and then you'd be suspended, right?
Yeah.
And now it's gone to, we've done so much for the safety of the game that if something like this happens, and he does have previous instances, but we go right to 3 games or 2 games, or, Derwin got 1 game, but that was a little different. That wasn't like this. And I just feel like the conversation has been way off. This whole well, these quarterbacks are sliding late. That's great. He didn't slide late. He slid right on time.
I can't believe some of this. And I'm a little surprised how it shifted from, that's a really dirty hit, dirty play, to, well, the quarterbacks here with some responsibilities. Really? He didn't do anything wrong. He slid.
What they're saying is legit. Like, Mahomes does that all the time. He'll use the sideline to his
where
advantage.
he's running out of bounds.
Yeah, and that should be punished. Okay, I agree with that. But that had nothing to do with this one. Kamari Lassiter is the defensive back for the Texans. The end zone shot. Al Shaair makes the hit. He's a rookie now. Okay, not like he's been around for a while. Rookie.
Yeah.
Puts his hands right on his helmet. Like, oh my God, what did he just do?
They all knew.
And then the reaction from the Jaguars tells you as well. So, and then, it's always this like redirect, the whataboutisms and the way that we communicate these days. So Al Shaair goes to, this apology, but then like the media who's looking for a villain, dude, you did something wrong. Okay. And you've done it before, like not that, but you've done other things on the field that are like the NFL is right to put you in the crosshairs on this one. Now, the other stuff about the anti-Islamic stuff that he's been getting, obviously from nameless, faceless morons online.
I haven't even seen that. Oh, so like from fans, from people on social media.
I didn't see it. He put it in his statement saying that, don't even give those dudes oxygen. But the statements, look at what I'm going through. Okay, fine. Yeah. But all this is distracting or trying to distract.
How about what Trevor Lawrence is going through when he's laying on the field with his with his hands up? I mean, you could have ended the guy's career.
It's one thing if he comes in head first, it's at the goal line, it's a big hit, blah, 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 whatever. Way different. Middle of the field to be sliding like that and to take a shot like that. He seems like Al Shaair goes to a different place on the field and goes to, because
that was old school, man. That was like 80s football.
Yeah. And he does all this stuff off the field. That's great. All these guys, most of these guys, as you cover it's unbelievable how good these guys are. And yet they want to just completely destroy each other on the field legally. Like Derrick Henry is the softest spoken, nicest guy. You meet him in the hole or wherever on the field, he will run you into the ground. Okay.
Well, they just go to a different place.
They do. And there's a different place. And then there's where Al Shaair went, and that was too far. So I'm good with it.
So the reaction from Houston, I think we kind of touched on, but were you surprised the reaction that they had in that press conference?
Yeah, I thought that was a little strong. They got to support their guy and do whatever they can to influence. Now, remember, and I want to make this crystal clear. I know we keep saying it, but it is an important point. The arbitrator, Ramon Foster in this case, it's Ramon Foster, Kevin Y, Jordy Nelson, who am I missing? Derek Brooks, James Thrash. I think there's 5 of them. And they chose, I don't know how I got to ask how they choose it. But Ramon Foster, the former offensive lineman, wound up being, which is funny because he's a radio guy, apparently. Like, that's his real gig, is to be a radio guy. And then he does this on the side. Jointly appointed by the NFL and the NFL Players Association. So it is a neutral arbitrator, basically. It's not like years ago, a lot of times stuff was appealed back to Goodell, and they'd say, oh, how are you going to appeal back to the guy that led? Oh, yeah. Well, on second thought, yeah, maybe it was too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're upholding these suspensions and their former players tells you that they understand the need for the safety in the league right now. And I know a lot of people pointed, oh, here's John Runyon playing dirty 20 years ago. He's the one levying the suspension. Yeah. Okay. But a different era. And it doesn't mean that he can't then say, hey, you know what? That was,
I was wrong back then.
I was wrong. Yeah. Which I mean, be curious to hear his reaction on that, but yeah, he would probably say I was wrong because he's penalizing guys for doing the same thing.
You know what it reminded me of? And from a team, I don't know if you ever covered him, but who was the guy for the Eagles way back in the day, in the 90s? Was it Waters?
Andre Waters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't cover him, but I watched him.
That's what it reminded me of. Not that play, not the hit specific, but they're not similar players, but just that type of play when that was the norm.
And we glorified it.
Oh, that was the norm how they used to play.
And Buddy Ryan encouraged it.
Oh, yeah. We all did.
But it was a different era, and now we know more, and we should behave differently.
It's hard, though, right? And I wonder about this, and this is a bigger conversation. These guys get bigger and faster and stronger every single year. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, right? You compare what these guys run now.
Well, which is
compared
more
to what like 15 years ago. And I'm just like, how do you pull up and stop on a dime? And I do not in this instance, Mike, but I do feel somewhat sorry at times for these defenders because it's, I mean, their life is so much harder trying to tackle these guys.
There was one of those NFL meme accounts or whatever. Somebody sent it to me after the Vikings-Bears game. Caleb, I think it was in that play. Caleb had a scramble, rolled to the right, and throws. That was DJ Moore, I think, who made the catch. And it was Harrison Smith, the safety, who was coming to could have absolutely knocked his block off. Huh. And he just had to watch the play. Just had to watch it and be like, well, I hope he drops the ball because there's nothing he could do to separate the receiver from the ball. I mean, I guess you could slap at it or whatever, but it's not going to, But in 20 years ago, helmet right in the chest the ball's coming in, maybe to the head,
Yeah. What would that Mahomes play has been brought up where he looks like he's running out of bounds and then he comes back. How would you change that? What would you do?
It should be a penalty. Like the referee should be able to see that. We can see it live. The referee should be able to see that he was acting like he was going to go out of bounds, and it's the same as intentional grounding, right? You're trying to get into the quarterback's head and understand what he was trying to do, because a lot of times a quarterback will throw, and you'll hear this on the broadcast. He'll throw to a receiver who's running a go route, and he'll claim, no, he was supposed to stop. He was supposed, and they don't. Sorry. No, we don't give you that. If you throw and there's nobody there, you're in the pocket, you're under pressure, he screwed up. That's just the way the cookie crumbles for you on that one. So they could do something similar when it comes to this stuff. And I think they should, and there should be fines. And if it continues, there should be suspensions for that too, as well. There's no question.
But how, oh my God, isn't that in a subjective in a way? Like how, because could Mahomes,
but I'm saying it's
could Mahomes argue, no, I wasn't trying to go out of bounds. I'm trying to use the sideline as leverage and then cut back. I mean,
nope, because you're afforded that protection from the sideline, from the slide. And if you use that to your advantage against a guy, because it's health, right? In the end, it's about health. And you're using all this stuff that we're trying to make this game. It's never going to be safe. It's football, right? There's going to be the risk of injury, but we're trying to make it as safe as possible. And that intersection of as safe and entertaining as possible. And you're using that's dirty. Yeah. Like that's dirty. Yeah. The same word that I would use for a guy taking a shot at a guy's head. That's dirty play. I don't like it. I think it's unsportsmanlike conduct. There you go. You can call it that if you want. Yeah. But I think that should absolutely be something that's discussed after this season by the competition committee. I don't see a lot of it, by the way. I really don't see a lot of it. There's just certain instances, and maybe just putting it in the rules, you won't see it at all.
Okay.
But as long as he's getting away with it, he'll try it from time to time.
Big topic out here is there's some heat being turned up on Ryan Grubb.
Yeah,
Seahawks offensive coordinator after 12 games. Some wanting him to be replaced at the end of the year. Hey, when you go back to the hire of him, how much of it do you, if you know, was a collaboration between Schneider and McDonald, or was it just a strictly Schneider call?
I don't know about that. I mean, it was, Mike McDonald certainly had a hand in that. It wasn't I thought you were going to say the other way. Was it strictly a McDonald call? No, I think it was a collaborative approach from my understanding.
Okay. You think it's crazy to think about already replacing a guy after 12 games?
Yeah, because they're winning, right? In the end, I understand it, and the shortage, I can't speak today. You know what I'm trying to say.
Short yard situations, the running game needs to improve. They understand that. They're working on it,
Yeah. But there is an element of guys calling it well enough to win. I mean, the Bills fired Ken Dorsey last year. They were a winning team. It can be done. I think, is it too early? Probably. But if you do feel like, oh, this guy's we made the wrong hires, like don't waste time.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but I don't get the sense that they feel that way in the building right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they're content just because they're winning, but I think they feel like they've got a good offensive coordinator here.
Well,
and he's going through the process like anything.
Yeah, I just think, I always thought there was going to be a learning curve for him coming from college to the NFL, right? No NFL experience. And the defensive coordinators in this league have seen it all. They've seen everything. College, it's much more experience in college, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think there was going to be a learning curve. And then the other thing of it is if we're going to spend all this time, especially out here, bitching and moaning about the play of the offensive line, like how much can he actually get to in his play call sheet if his offensive line can't execute blocks?
That's part of your short yardage issue as well, too.
Of course.
You need your offensive line to be dominant in that case. And we've seen it from the teams like the Eagles that are good in short yardage, that are strong in that area. Also, the quarterback helps. And when he last week, I asked him about, I was like, you added a new wrinkle to the brotherly shove there by fumbling the ball, recovering it, and still getting it across the line. He goes, now that wasn't planned, obviously. He goes, but we made it work. So he's cool under pressure. I really like Jalen Hurts. I love watching him operate on and off the field. The way he's just chill about everything.
How about that storyline, by the way? Can we just pause for a second? How about that storyline? A month ago, he's flipping off or whatever. Sirianni's yelling at fans. Maybe it was longer than a month ago. People are like, maybe he's gone. They should make a move. And now they're the best team in football. Just stupid.
That's why I try to come on and just, Puck, take a breath. Stay patient, buddy.
But people wanted him out. Now they're 10-2.
Of course they did. They want everybody out. Guys that haven't been hired yet, they want out.
We want to already fire the future Eagles head coach.
You want to talk Mike McCarthy? I'm happy to talk Mike McCarthy. Everybody wanting him out, and you got the owner and the quarterback saying he should absolutely continue. And people, Joe Blow, the Cowboy fan who doesn't live anywhere near Dallas, by the way, get him out of here.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, Eagles playing. Are they truly the best team in football right now? That's always kind of been a big topic this week.
Yeah, and I'm looking like they're going this way, and the Lions are. I got to see this game tonight. I don't have a feel. I'm sorry, I don't have my play for you this week. I don't have a feel for how this game is going to go. I've got that game. What was the final last year?
Why do you feel the Lions are dipping? Is it because of the defense?
Injuries and just sucking wind a little bit, and it seems like it's starting to catch up with them a little bit. And I think that game against Chicago, the way they didn't finish it, the way they used to seeing them finish it. I'd still, if you're asking me who wins the game, then I'd probably still say the Lions. But if you're looking at, and again, it was last year on Thanksgiving, right? Green Bay went in there and won pretty handily, if I'm recalling correctly. If just in my head, if you put the Eagles and the Lions on the field, I got to go Eagles right now. We still have the stretch run. We've seen teams, the all-timer that I remember was the 2009 Saints that I think were 11-0, 12-0, maybe something like that. Then lost like 3 in a row and then caught their breath and then rolled through the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. You can get that kind of a lull that can last a couple. And maybe that's what we're seeing with the Lions, but now we're starting to see these injuries start to pile up.
Niners done. Is that regime done?
Well,
the one that has been constructed here in the last few years that was built to win a championship, is that done? Do they need to pivot now?
The regime, like coach and general manager?
Well, yeah. Just all of it.
No.
Because you got contracts coming up. Guys are getting older.
No.
Okay.
And there was wasn't John Lynch up for the Amazon job or potentially going to, toying with the idea of, let me go back to broadcasting.
Does he have 1 foot out the door, you think?
That was in the back of his head a couple of years ago. And so that's always going to be there. And maybe it's this year where he goes, you know what, this is like stuff that's so out of your control. And because that's what they feel right now. It's like they had a good roster.
Yeah.
The Trent Williams is going down, McCaffrey down again. All these guys, Ayuk with an ACL. And it's like you went through that whole summer.
But can they run it back again with all that, though? Guys are getting old. McCaffrey is.
Yeah, but they're drafting and guys, they're drafting well, and they're coaching up guys well, and they're scheming well, so they can restock the cupboard basically.
Okay.
I don't doubt that, but
Is there I don't know if I saw this someplace. I don't know where I saw this, but is there any fraction between him and Shanahan and Lynch? Or no, are they solid?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Kyle's Kyle.
What do you mean by that? Is he you wear out on him a little bit?
No. I mean, but Kyle is, Kyle's got a lot of juice to him. Kyle's pretty good. I always appreciate how Kyle is with the media, though. I think he does a great job of that. So that's I'll always give you a great review on Kyle because that's from my perspective. And he's a really good coach. He's a really good coach.
Yeah.
But he always looks to me like he's ready to blow, and then he just never does. It's just like his demeanor,
He looks like he's been on a 2-week just bender.
Bender is the word. I knew you were going to say bender.
Okay. He also looks like he hasn't had anything to eat. And then he's dressed like he's, rides a single speed bike. And, he hangs out at coffee shops and local breweries. These guys that's what he looks like.
He always looks like
and you know what he has in his mouth 24/7? A Zin. That's what he's got in his mouth.
I don't know what's a Zin. Is
Zin,
that a tobacco thing?
Yeah, like tobacco, but it's not. It's like for people who chew, but they get rid of it.
I've tried to decode who the surprise is going to be in the whole coaching thing.
Would he be a surprise? Because his name's people are floating the idea out that the Bears. He's praising Caleb Williams. Is he trying to send some message to Chicago? Come get me.
I don't think so. No, and I know that's been speculated, but I don't think so.
Well, who do they want? You think Chicago?
Who do they want?
If they could grab their perfect candidate, who would that be?
I don't know this for sure. All I know is the quality that they're looking for in the leader of men. I hate that term, but you know what it is, right? Leader of men to me is what you put on a Mike Tomlin, which he's a phenomenal leader of men. If you haven't seen the Hard Knocks this week, you got to watch it. We've now ranked in my head the Hard Knocks. The worst Hard Knocks now is the original Hard Knocks, the training camp one. That one's here.
Is this one good? This in season one?
It was phenomenal.
Okay,
so they were showing you the back and forth between doing a whole division was genius. Because I thought it was gonna be too much. They'll be bouncing around too much.
Too.
What's that?
Especially that one.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, if it was the AFC South, maybe I wouldn't be as enthralled as I was. But they were showing you the meeting rooms in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, and they're going, right now in Cincinnati, you know what they're saying? We need to stop George Pickens. And then they cut to Cincinnati and in Pittsburgh, you know what they're saying? We need to stop Jamar Chase. I posted this on X yesterday. I referred to it as a Rocky Drago pre-fight montage, kind of back and forth. So that was entertaining. And then Tomlin and one of the other teams, I did hear from one of the other teams in the division, is yeah, you're not going to get that access with us. We're shocked that he let them in the meeting room as he was formulating his defensive game plan with Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator. And it was interesting to me because they've played Joe Burrow a bunch, but it was almost like they were playing him for the first time the way they were talking about him, which I don't know if that was for the cameras or if that was kind of how they approach it week to week, as if it's we've never seen this guy before and let's just take a fresh set of eyes. But it was phenomenal to hear what they were talking about. And then to see Tomlin during the week, and Hard Knocks always does a good job of this. They'll set you up for the payoff later. To see him talking to Nick Herbig and reminding him they signed Orlando Brown because Alex Highsmith ate up Jonah Williams a couple of years ago. Orlando Brown is there for a reason. You're going to have to beat him one-on-one. And he beats him late in the game for a strip sack. And it's just the reminder all week long to make it happen. And he makes it happen. It was really good. And then the Browns assistant offensive line coach. Oh, you see this scene yet?
I haven't seen the show. And remember, I asked you
about
but
it's been on social media.
I'm actually who the Bears are looking at for head coach.
Hold on. Was that what the initial question was?
Yeah, that was the
question. Where's the scene?
I'll check it out later.
His name is Roy Istvin, is the assistant offensive line coach. And he's going, just watch the scene. I'm not going to tell you, but he's talking to the offensive line, and Jameis Winston's in the room as well.
Oh, I love
so the Bears.
The Bears. Who do they want? Johnson, Lincoln Riley. Who is it?
Marcus Freeman, if he's on their radar, would not be surprised at all.
Freeman
would not. I mean, he's right there, Chicago, right?
Oh.
And he fits the bill for that leader of men type thing. It seems like they want a good offensive mind and a leader of men, and those are not on this list. Like these guys,
NFL background with Freeman.
You
Has
don't
he dipped
think
his
so.
toes in the league at all?
You can look it up while I answer this part. These guys now, Ben Johnson, Cliff Kingsbury, and some of these offensive guys that are available, they're not. You might get it with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore I like a lot, but Cliff has been a head coach before, and his MO was not to be this great leader. He was running the offense, and the defensive coordinator did his own thing. It's not to say he's a bad head coach at all. I'm just saying that's not that mentality you're going to get from him. And Ben Johnson, sort of the same thing. We've talked about Ben on the show before.
A lot.
You're not gonna get that either from him. But great offensive mind, and so we'll see how it's gonna be an interesting search there.
Never has dipped his toes in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was at Notre Dame before he got the head coaching job because he just got promoted there. So.
Well, I always bring up Riley because, I mean, the thought down in USC is that like the athletic director who's the athletic director at USC was the athletic director of the University of Washington. And I'm pretty sure she would fly Lincoln Riley to Chicago if she could to drop him off to the Bears and say, can you please take him?
Well, that's the problem.
So we don't have to pay him the $80 million.
But that's the problem is, well, first of all, don't you have to pay? Oh, well, they'd have to. What's the buyout on his deal?
Yeah, whatever that is. I mean, he's owed like 80 million or something, 88.
Sweet Jesus.
I mean, he is the best deal in the world. It's unbelievable.
Jimbo Fisher's was the greatest of all time.
Oh, Jimbo was a good one.
Yeah,
Jimbo
contract.
Fisher was a great contract. All right. Well, it'll be a fun game tonight. This is Monday night game was great. I love Winston. The Winston experience was terrific.
Yeah, but we gotta be careful. Like, how much of Jameis before it's like, okay, all right. Especially if you don't have a winning record.
I don't care. It's not my team, but I just like watching it. I like the pick sixes. I like all of it. The post game, the pregame. He's asking the Lord after the game to stop delivering pick sixes. It's just phenomenal. Everything about him, man. Because what's sports supposed to be? Fun. At the end of the day, fun. He makes it fun, and he makes it fun. Lions Packers tonight will be a good game. Seahawks, do you think they win the division? 5 games to remain. 10 should win it. They got 3 more wins in them.
I like Arizona. Arizona's got a little je ne sais quoi, or as they say in Austin Powers, you have what the French call I don't know what. Now there's something going on in Arizona. So
okay. So you think Arizona wins this weekend, ultimately wins the division?
I can't pick Arizona to win the division and they lose to, because Seattle beat them in Seattle, right?
Correct.
So they would have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So then I'd put a hammer lock on that one.
All right. Well, I hope you're wrong.
I listen, there's no guarantee I'm right. So don't come at me if I'm wrong.
Don't come at me.
Now I gave you a good. What was the Thursday night? The Browns game. I told you I had a good feel on that one. When I got a good feel,
you were unbelievable with that one. I thought you were crazy.
When I tell you I got a good feel, I got a good feel. Okay. The problem is when I try to generate a good feel for the sake of like I got to give Puck a good one now, and it's not there, and then I'm wrong. Then it's like I really didn't feel that good about that one. Okay. So I don't feel great about Arizona. Just to be clear.
Right. Do you think anyone would ever describe us as leaders of men?
No, because I got a house of 3 women and I can't deal with them. So I don't know. But maybe men are easier. I mean, my daughters now, they're 3 and 7.
Yes.
I am constantly apologizing for things I didn't do. It's like 2 more wives.
Get used to it.
I have 3 wives in my house, basically. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know what I did. I turned to my wife. I go, I don't know what I did.
I got yelled at today from the 15-year-old. Do you know who Jordan Childs is?
No.
She's a gymnast. She was the U.S. Olympic gymnast. She got the medal this year at the Summer Olympics.
Okay.
She shouldn't have got it because there was a scoring error, and then they appealed, and they shouldn't have been able to appeal, but they did let her appeal, and I think there was the Russian girl who should have won the medal. Whatever. Okay, she shouldn't have won the medal. Everybody knows that. And she's doing an interview today, and I'm watching on TV. I'm like, well, she's kind of still pleading her case that she should have the bronze. And I'm like, well, she shouldn't have the bronze. And my daughter's like, yes, she should. And you don't know what you're talking about. Why do you always have to be this way? It storms out the house. I just said.
Did you tell her you're that way for a living?
I just said she shouldn't have got the medal. Like, that's it. That's it. So
cool.
Get used to it. It gets more fun.
Throw in hormones. Awesome.
There he is. All right, Mike. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
See you, everybody.
Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, all brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance. It's your trusted insurance company. They're going to take care of you. Look at this. Look at these guys. Look at Hartley and Hartley Insurance. Serving your needs since 1978. Family owned. Puget Sound area. Honesty, fairness, integrity. Jamie Hartley. Give him a call. 253-565-8700. Our guy, Jamie Hartley, man. What a guy. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Of course, Andrew Herzog, who is, you know what, for this guy, Herzog, Duck fan. Okay? Don't hold it against him. But look at this place. Zogs on Fox Island. Follow him on Instagram. Perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, catch the game. Check him out on Facebook, also Instagram. Look at that. Fresh oysters at Zogs. Coming up, that was last week. Look at live music. Got everything going there at Zogs on Fox Island. Look at this crazy spot, man. Awesome, man. If you do live down there in the South End, you haven't gone to Zogs, go check it out now. Great selection of beer. Look at that, huh? Bodie, Manny's, Rogers, Johnny Utah. That's one more. I can't remember the name of that. Oh, Lucille. Come on, they know what they're doing there at Zogs. Big thanks to Zogs and also Hartley and Hartley Insurance for bringing you Mike Garafolo every single Thursday here on pucksports.com. In case you missed it, you came in late. I know some of you now are listening to this later, but we do it live every day at 10 o'clock. You can catch the full episode of Mike Garafolo up on YouTube if you want to watch two handsome people. Also, if you just want to listen to it, it's always up there on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and, of course, always at pucksports.com. All right, let's transition to the Dugar Report. Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic now joining us every Thursday to talk Seahawks. You can catch all of his work again at The Athletic. Also, the Man-to-Man podcast with our good friend Christopher Kidd. Shout out C-Kid206. They do a podcast, a bunch of them, every single week, wherever you find your podcast. Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast. Great guys and great content up there. But Dugar now joining us every single week, the Dugar Report, talking about all things Seahawks. Caught up with Mike earlier this morning to catch up on the Seahawks. Deep dive into Ryan Grubb, the offense, the state of the team, chances to win the division. Mike, again, breaking it down only like he can here on the Dugar Report. All right, that time of a day and week and time and whatever you want to call it as I stumble through opening up to bring on Michael-Shawn Dugar, the Dugar Report. Of course, Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. Of course, also co-host of the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast with some guy named Christopher Kidd. You can't call him Chris Kidd. You know, you have to call him Christopher. Now, on the podcast, do you call him Chris or Christopher?
I introduced myself first, and then I let him do his thing. And then he refers to himself as Christopher, but I just call him Chris. I've never called him Christopher. He's never asked me to. I'm very big on if someone asks me to call them something, that's a variation of their name. Like, don't ask me to call you like Slick or like something like that, or Slim, or something that's just you think is cool. But if you just ask me to call you a variation of your name, then yeah, I'll follow what you say. But
he asked me one time. He said, "I prefer you if you call me Christopher." Because his parents wanted him that. His parents can you? I think it was his mom or his dad. I think
his mom is very adamant about that.
Yeah, she's very adamant. Can you get them to stop calling you Chris? I didn't name you Chris. I named you Christopher.
Yeah, you're right. It's the mom. Which I'll acknowledge. Like I'm a lot more flexible with my name stuff. People call me all types of different stuff. No one really calls me Michael-Shawn though. That's pretty.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike or Michael. My grandma calls me Michael. Sometimes my mom will too, because my dad's name is Michael. So yeah, I'm pretty flexible though. At The Athletic, actually, this is where people started calling me MSD. That just started working here, and like the last few years too. I think Jason Jenks, shout out to Jenks, might have started that.
First of all, where is he at?
I have no idea.
Off the face of the earth. What happened to that guy?
I have no idea where Jenks is. I saw him at the Combine. This is the NFL Scouting Combine. I think last year we do like an NFL Summit where all the writers and editors show up. So I see him at that. That's where I last saw Steve Cohen too. Shout out to Steve. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. He's reachable. Both of them.
Does he work at the Athletic?
Yeah, no. He just had a story like a couple weeks ago on if you saw NFL teams posting about how much peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, Uncrustables that they eat, that was a Jenks story. Yeah,
Okay.
that's of course a Jenks story. Yeah, I think the
All right.
Seahawks were like the number 2 team in like Uncrustables eaten. I'm pretty sure behind the Broncos.
Who doesn't like peanut butter and jelly?
There were some teams that were towards the bottom. We had a whole chart and graphic and everything. Yeah, we put some effort into promoting that joint too. Yeah, it was good.
All right, okay.
He also has one about orange slices and guys pooping their pants during games.
Well, you know what's funny? You orange slices. We're gonna get to the Seahawks in a second, okay? I was watching as the halftime of this week's Monday night game, Broncos and Browns. The Browns were coming off. They had a camera in the hallway, and they were grabbing something as they were going in. And I was wondering, are they having orange slices? Like this is when you were playing youth soccer, and the mom would bring the orange slices. They're still
100%. Yeah, that's what I think. Jenks had a story about that. I want to say
funny. Okay,
a couple of years ago. I mean, you guys can Google it, but the only reason I know that because he texted me once and was like, "Hey, can you?" He wanted me to ask a player about orange slices or something like that. That's how I know behind the scenes there. That's how I know Jenks is alive when he asked me just randomly via text for a thing. Just, hey, can you ask such and such about this random thing? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then we go from there.
All right, let's jump into the Seahawks. I think they're 7-5, first place in the NFC West. They got the rematch coming up here with Arizona on Sunday. To me, Mike, this is like the win against New York, but then where they're at right now is like the perfect sports media, like storm, hurricane, all of it, because the good is that they're 7-5 in first place, and I don't know how many people thought they would be here, especially a few weeks ago. I know I didn't. But even though that they're 7-5 in first place, and they can kind of control their own destiny here to win the division, there's still so much to bitch about the football team, and that's what makes this the greatest team to cover, because they're good. Playoff caliber, good probably, but then still you got people, we need to fire everyone. Get rid of all these people. And that I'm here for it. Because here's the thing. You've been in this long enough. You've done a lot of like sports radio too. You never just want to be in the middle. You don't want to be 8-8. You don't want to be 9-8. You either want to be really good or really shitty. Because it's just that you can't have it in the middle. How do you view them right now after 12 games, sitting there at 7-5?
Yeah, my story selection choice this week is probably a window into how I'm viewing that. Like I had an option, me and my editor were talking about it. We're like, should we write about Kobe Bryant or we write about how they need to be better in the short yardage situations on offense, right? Which kind of goes to which exactly you're talking about. Like you could look at it like, oh, they're doing great. Like Kobe's playing well. Obviously Leo and J Love and some other guys are as well, but I was like, specifically, I had some stuff on Kobe or short yardage stuff, which is an issue. That's like the glass half empty view. Like, hey, they won, but here's this thing to complain about. And I decided to go with the short yardage thing. It's not done yet, but that's kind of how I'm looking at them. And I don't need the coach to necessarily tell me what to write or give me the green light per se, but I bring him up because Mike Macdonald is very much process over results. Obviously, he's in a results-based business largely. You either won the game or you didn't. But that's kind of like at the end of the year, when you're in it, everyone can definitely feel whether how you're winning is sustainable. And that's where not even nitpicking, that's where being critical comes in, and that's why when I watched the tape of the Seahawks game over the Jets, I was like, oh, this short yardage stuff is an issue, and it still is an issue post bye week. And one of the things that I'm going to mention in the story I'm writing is it's not just that it's important, it's that every game has pretty much come down to that, in one way or the other. You look at their Rams game, they couldn't get a yard in overtime, so you lose, and you come real close to losing to the Niners there because Geno can't get a sneak and Zach can't get a yard. Thankfully the Niners are just in the middle of them. They're in the beginning of implosion. We didn't know it at the time, but now we know that they're just going the wrong way. And then the Cardinals game, I forget, there was a short yardage situation they didn't get in that too. And then you have the Jets game where they just got to the goal line and threw up on themselves. And then, but how do they win that game? On a 3rd and 1, so many of their games are coming down to these instances. And you even look, oh, that's what it was in the Cardinals game. It was the flip side, but they had a 4th and 1. They stopped the Cardinals and they get the timeout. Then the 4th and 1 turns into a pick 6. on the other way. Like short yardage, it's so critical, and you just can see it in these last few weeks. That's why they're 7-5, because they've come out on the right end of some of these, or overcome not getting them in some cases. So I am generally optimistic about the short term. Like I think they can win on Sunday, but I can guarantee that Mike Macdonald and Ryan Grubb and all of those guys, are looking at the offense and some of that stuff on the red zone, goal line, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, whatever, and being like, if we don't get better, this is going to be a problem. Or they're looking at it perhaps this way, which is what Oluwatimi told me earlier this week was, if we get better, we'll be great. Like we're good right now, but we can be great if we can really put teams away. And I think you can just see it. 2 of the best short yardage teams in the league, I think, are the Lions and Eagles. Well, there you go. 2 best teams in the conference. So I think they're in a good spot, but they're in that dangerous situation where they do kind of have some fatal flaws, and one of them is special teams with their returners. That's tough. And then the other one is not being able to put teams away. They have the 5th worst goal line offense in the league, I think, and you're not going to be a great team like that.
Okay, let's go back to the short yardage stuff. Is that a scheme thing, or is that just a player issue, a physicality issue? I don't know. I think when I see teams struggle, and I could be way off on this one, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, to me that's just about, you just don't have the guys. I mean, to me it's man on man. You have to be more physical than the other team and push them off the ball to get a yard. It's a yard. I don't know how much you scheme to get a yard or 2 yards. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong on it, but how do you view that?
Yeah, it can depend. Depend on if you get too cute. We see teams like do rollouts and stuff like that, and trick play. Not trick plays, but I think the Rams won the Super Bowl in part because they gave it to like Cooper Kupp on a 4th and 1 run against the Bengals. And then I think, Mahomes, they do some of their scheme stuff that's really good. And the Super Bowl, they won with some short yardage stuff. I think a 4th down conversion in overtime was like a Mahomes rollout option type of thing. So the teams that are good at it can generally get it done a few different ways. So being good at it is scheme, I think, a lot of the ways. And depending on how you want to look at something like the tush push, I don't know if you want to count that as scheme per se. But I mean, that is another way to be excellent at it, like the Eagles are. But you're right. When you're bad, it kind of depends. Let's look at the Jets game. It's a great example. In the 3rd quarter, they were just running up the gut on the Jets for a good portion of that 3rd quarter. They ran the same play like 4 times in a row to Ken. Yeah. And what they were basically doing was getting a hat on hat, guy on guy, and just winning, And so Grubb, when they got down to the goal line, understandably was probably like, oh, we're blocking these guys. Let's just keep doing that. And then it just stopped working. Lakin lost a block. Olu lost a block. Charles lost a block. And then Ken's culpable too in some of these. He chops his feet on short yardage for some reason. Don't know why. Particularly on when it's 1 yard. Like, dude, you're not cutting back on 1 yard. Don't do that. So I think in that particular game, it was the guys. But it was the guys after they had been doing well. So I don't even want to fault like Grubb in that instance, because if I had been watching that 3rd quarter like I was, on film, I'd be like, oh, I'd have just kept running it up the gut too. I wouldn't have done no motions or anything fancy. But I think when you're bad at it for a sustained time, I think it really just does come down to the guys. I think that they're just not consistent enough up front, and it's not always even just man on man like strength. Some of it really is the guys aren't even blocking the right dudes. They've had some instances where guys just coming unblocked. I was rewatching some cut-ups for the story I'm writing. They had a lot of them were just unblocked dude. Even the Jets game, unblocked guys. Maybe that's scheme, maybe that's coaching or whatever, but they have a lot of issues. It's not just one thing. But I guess if you had to whittle it down, probably you just don't got the guys if you're consistently bad at it, I should say.
You may know this. Who is, you mentioned the Eagles. Who's the best short yardage team in the NFL? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I do, actually. I have that in front of me. So if we were to, that's my story. I have this right now filtered to 3rd and 4th down with 2 or fewer yards to go. So it depends on how you want to define short yardage.
Sure. That's
the top,
good. I'll take that.
Yeah, and this is specifically on design runs, so it doesn't count if you do a rollout and your quarterback runs it in. So I wanted to get that out of the sample.
Does this include sneaks? Quarterback sneaks?
Yes, this would include sneaks because those are designed precise runs.
Run plays. Yeah, okay.
So if you just go by success rate, it's the Rams, Ravens, and Commanders, Chiefs, Panthers. Those are the top 5. If you look at first down percentage, it's those same teams in a different order with the Rams at the top. Yeah, the Rams also, speaking of the guys, though, the reason that they're up there, well, they paid a bunch of money for guards this offseason.
Wait, hold on, stop. That's allowed? That's allowed.
Yeah.
You can pay money to guards. That's okay. All right.
And you can draft them high, too. I think one of their guards that's been good is Steve
we only
Avila.
drafted one pretty high here years and years ago that was, I don't know, really good. That works for the team now, by the way. Okay, so the Rams, yeah. All right. Well, I just think, when you were describing like the Eagles, right, and the tush push, I don't know what's the scheme there. I mean, I know they came up with a cool scheme. It's more of a rugby scrum, and it's smart, and it's a cool design. But at the end of the day, you just have, I know Kelsey's not there anymore, but when he was there, you have one of, if not the most physical center in football, number one. Then number two, the quarterback, I don't know, he squats like 9,000 pounds. He's a bowling ball. And so I just think we're just more physical. So I wonder when Grubb gets down there, I don't know what you call. How do you scheme up on 3rd and 2? What do you run? I mean, if you want to run, I mean, there really are just a handful of running plays. Not like there's some great design. It's you can't get too creative with it. But I mean, maybe you can. But I don't know. I just think it comes down to more about just personnel issues, especially with those guys in the middle.
You can do some misdirection stuff, which they haven't done a ton of. I think Zach scored or Ken scored against the Niners on a kind of like a split flow type of run where you fake one way and then go the other way under center. So you can do it, but Grubb seems to prefer hat on hat. He doesn't get too tricky. Geno's also only like 50% on sneaks this year, so you would think that number would be a little higher. It's not. And I'm taking out that one where he just trips over Connor's foot. I think he'd be 3 of 7 if you counted that, but that's not an actual sneak. So yeah, I mean, you can get actually pretty creative. The Lions are pretty good at that. The Packers have a really diverse run scheme as well. And then I think the Chiefs are really good at like getting Mahomes out, using their gadgety guys. I think they even run the tush push with Kelsey sometimes. I believe I've seen them do.
Yeah.
Like the Ravens have run it with Mark Andrews. So you don't have to do, I think the Seahawks tried it with DJ Dallas before. So you can tush push with someone who squats a little bit more than your quarterback that also protects your QB too. So there's some scheme stuff. I would call those scheme things because you still have to block it up right, coach it right, rep it right. And it just doesn't look like the Seahawks rep their stuff either well enough or enough just in terms of raw total to be really, really good. Because like I said, I named you the top 5. The Seahawks, I think, are in the bottom 5 in that same category.
Do you think there's pressure on him, on Ryan Grubb? Pressure on the rest of this season? Pressure that this could be a one and done for him?
Oh, I think it depends. There's some contract implications there too. I know sometimes you get assistants that are just on 1-year deals. So whoever you are, there's just pressure, right? There's nothing guaranteed in this league.
But I think assume he's not, right? We assume he's on a multi-year deal?
I don't know. I don't know one way or the other. I wouldn't assume one way or the other based on I haven't asked anyone. I was on paternity leave all off season. So those type of details I didn't dive into.
Well, do you think it's fair? Do you think if it continues to have their struggles, do you think it's fair to be a one and done?
I think everyone.
At least have a conversation.
I think everyone is kind of under that in part because two reasons. One, they have the expectations of competing for a championship. And when you can fall short of that, you can fall well short of that, to be honest. And then you evaluate everyone. And in that case, it's very easy to cut ties with people. 2, Mike McDonald doesn't know none of these guys. There's no like, oh man, I used to coach with him back in the day, so I got a little bit more loyalty to. No, he kind of knows Grubb, I mean, that can go one of two ways with anyone on the staff for the most part. I think outside of maybe like one dude from the Ravens, all of these guys are working with Mike and in some capacity for the first time. Maybe not Jay Harbaugh, I think. I'd have to go look. So I think all of those guys are auditioning all year, not just Grubb, but yeah, I do think he is included in that. And I also think he's included in that. This is a bonus third one, I guess. I know I said 2, is he kind of has a job where that's probably the easiest position to find attractive candidates, I would say, in the NFL, is like, hey, can you be our OC? Like, because you can kind of pull from anywhere there. And it's a job that like former head coaches will do. You know, like if you need an O-line coach, that's tough. You know what I mean? Like even if you need a DC, that can get kind of tough too. But if like, hey man, I need an OC. You can, like I say, you can get a hotshot college coach that's in the OC. You can also get a hotshot head coach that's in college and pull him. You can get a former head coach to do it too. Like you can get a young buck all the way to someone who's in their 60s or 70s or something that's got experience. The range is so crazy there because it's just such a fun gig. You get to do all the fun stuff, designing an offense and everything, and you don't have the head coach responsibilities, talking to the media, all that stuff. So yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to think that he's totally auditioning for his the future of his gig here.
Is it fair though? I mean, is it? Can you properly evaluate him with? I mean, because the other side of it is that everyone acknowledges how bad the offensive line is. So if your offensive line is bad, how can you properly evaluate the man who's calling the plays, or even the quarterback for that matter?
Oh, tons of ways. Particularly with the OC, how prepared your guys are. I think that's part of it. Like on the flip side of it, you can really see Mike Macdonald is winning the chess match on defense in a lot of ways. Guys are just really prepared for pretty much everything that teams are throwing at them: run, pass, situational, for the most part. Even look at the Jets game. The only way the Jets were really moving the ball was just like it almost looked like Aaron Rodgers was drawing up stuff in the sand. He was like, hey, Devontae, you get this leverage, run a slant. I'm going to throw it to you. They didn't look like design plays at all. It just looked like, hey, Devontae, if you get number 29, just run a go. I'm going to just throw it up, And it was working because Aaron's been working with Devontae like that for years, but it didn't look like they were schemed up. It was like, oh, okay, this is one-on-one, mano-a-mano, glorified 7-on-7, but none of their like regular play calls are working super well outside of the shovel pass on the goal line for a touchdown, which I had never seen them run before, like ever, to that guy. So, and on the flip side, it looks like Grubb's just not winning. You look at like their 4th and goal play, like the Jets were all over that, the little sprint out. You look at the slant to DK that Sauce broke up. Sauce was all over that. I mean, even the play action throw to Noah, other 4th down stuff that didn't work. Horse collar tackle on Zach that was blown up with or without the horse collar
go back
tackle.
To but the Fant one though, that's on the quarterback. That's a badly thrown ball. That's a touchdown.
It should be,
and then no one's complaining.
And
really, hold on, but just to defend him for a second, I mean, and to be critical of the quarterback, it shouldn't even been a red zone situation had he thrown a better pass to DK. That should have been a walk-in touchdown. That was an underthrown ball that he had to go back and get. And then the Fant ball is a bad throw. I mean, again, I'm not trying. It sounds like I'm defending Grubb, and I'm not. I think he's not been as good as I thought. I do think though that goal line situation has really just blown it up to where it's fighting for his job. He may be replaced. Again, I don't know if we're having that. If the quarterback, which I thought was a well-called play, it's a play action under center. He rolled right to the right, and Noah Fant's wide open. And he just throws it almost into the dirt.
So let's pull that play out of the discussion. Go broader to your point about how do you assess a guy if his O-line's back? Because that's a fair question. Because Shane was not retained, even though that he was under very similar circumstances. And one of the reasons that Shane wasn't retained is they were pretty bad situationally. They were bad in the red zone. They were bad 3rd down. That'd get you fired most of the time. They were just really good at 2-minute. It was hard to figure out how much of that you attribute to Shane or Pete. Pete's teams were always good in 2-minute, generally speaking, and the Seahawks are still good in 2-minute without Shane. So there's that. That's one of them. Situational stuff is usually what I go to first. And then how do you blend your concepts? How do you make your runs look like your passes to really have a simple but complex offense? And Grubb so far has been very bad at that. There's a really good example is a throw that Geno made to Jackson, like on the over route. Great ball, tight window, beautiful throw. But watch the guy covering Jackson. He doesn't even think about biting on the play fake there. Like as soon as Geno goes to hand it to Ken, he's like, nope, turning and running. This is a fake. This is a throw. And part of that, if I had to talk to that dude, I think it's Jamie Sherwood, he'd be like, man, those guys ain't running out of that formation. They never do. They're kind of easy to figure out, like when they're going to run, when they're going to pass. And to Shane's credit, I actually thought he was better at building out, like, all right, this looks like a run, and we've run it out of this situation so many times, but now here's this pass. Shane was willing to get in his heavy personnel, like 13, 3 tight ends, and then get into an motion to an empty formation and throw like a dig route to Will Dissly. Like it doesn't seem like a huge play, but that is when you're talking about the stuff of how you would evaluate an OC, because when you put 3 tight ends on there, what's the other team going to do? Go heavy, thinking you're going to run, and I think Grubb, for some of the cool plays he has, I think that part of it, that chess match, trying to get plays set up so that you can start winning those chess matches. I don't think he's been great at that. And that's why their numbers are just kind of overall down. Like they're right now about as bad as they were. They're worse now than they ever were with Shane Waldron.
Yeah, I was talking this week with Rob Staten and from SeahawksDraftBlog.com, and Rob was saying that, and I'm sure you've the similar numbers in terms of the telegraphing of plays. It's something when they're in the shotgun, it's 75% of the time out of the shotgun they throw, and then I think under center when he goes under center, they only throw 25% of the time. I mean, that is tipping your hand.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, Grubb will probably never admit this, and he may not even be conscious of it, but that's college. The college mindset. It's that you can know what we're doing, but we're better. And because that's what it was at Washington. I didn't study their offense super heavy this offseason, but I mean, I watched it enough to know that they were certainly operating under the premise that they were better than the opponent. And a lot of times they were.
Because of that, and I think this plays into the little bit of the offensive line debate is because he had the best offensive line in football.
Yeah.
So I think he could get away with that probably.
Well, and he also had, I don't know, top 3 quarterback in college football and three NFL receivers,
Exactly.
like he
all got drafted.
Yeah, he was operating at a talent, he had more talent than the other teams. And he even talked about this in the offseason. He was just like, he was aware of that. He was like, yeah, I mean, in college, we could pick out like, hey, their field safety's got bad hips. So we're just going to go at him today, score 40, get back home, So he seems to know, but the play calling definitely operates under like the premise of, well, we're just going to execute better than them, which is kind of arrogant, but what I would expect from someone who just came from a level in which his team was executing better than everyone on a weekly basis.
Let me go back to this though, because the defense has been so good, especially the last 3 weeks, right? And I don't know. I guess we can circle it back to maybe the trade of Ernest Jones, certainly Leonard Williams coming on. I mean, there's I don't know what we would point to why they have been able to turn around, but they've made personnel changes, specifically with the linebackers, and maybe it's hey, we're 12 games into the season now. It's a complicated defense to learn just in terms of, what we do, what we show pre-snap to post-snap, and it's going to take a little bit of time. We were killing these guys in the first 9 weeks of the season, 8 weeks of the season, defensively, Mike McDonald specifically. Now 3 weeks has changed what they've done. You're like, okay, that's why you got him, and he's great, and he's the savant that everyone thought. The offense is now sputtered the last few weeks. I'm just wondering, is it the timing of it? If it was reversed where the offense was struggling in the beginning of the season, but now all of a sudden the last 3 games turning it on, do we have a different view of Ryan Grubb?
That's a good question. Sequencing is a huge part of the NFL, particularly when you look back. When you're in the moment. Yeah, sorry, not when you look back. When you're in the moment. I think that was huge in like the Let Russ Cook season. I remember I was talking to a coach from that staff.
Those were fun times.
Well, yeah, and it was a great time. And he was like, I asked him a question. He was like, I said, what happened in the second half of the season? And he was like, nothing happened. We played better defenses. He was like, go back and look at our games. He was like, the cornerback we got at the Vikings game, he sucked. We went out of a rookie corner from the Dolphins in week 4, and then in the back half of the year, we played the number 1 defense, the Rams, 3 times in 9 games. And so we fell out. Now, that was an oversimplification. That was an hour-long convo. I'm summarizing it. But that was a lesson for me in the sequencing sometimes can be very important. Who you play, when you play them, who you got, who you don't got, indoor, outdoor. all this stuff. So I do think that there is something to that. I do think the way each group has come out of the bye week has been very telling for me personally. I'm a big bye week guy because a lot of people think when you come off a bye or you go into your bye, you're like spending an extra week looking at your opponent. That's not true. That's why I don't read much into like this team coming off a bye records or unfairness. I think when you're talking about health, that does matter, but scheme wise, the players go back to their college towns, their hometowns. They're in Cabo. Even the assistant coaches are in Cabo. Like it's really a lot of like, what is your coach doing to self-scout your own guys? And then how can you fix that? And that's what Mike McDonald did a great job of. His guys are super prepared in the run. They're connected. They're really just locked in and focused on holding their disguises, when to rotate their safeties, who's got what, who can trust the guy next to him. And the offense is still a lot of like, okay, we're under center a little bit more, but outside of that, we're not snapping the ball over Geno's head, because that guy retired. And it's pretty much we're throwing to Jackson a little bit more. I'm not seeing a drastic like shift, which I thought was needed. I thought it was needed on the goal line. I thought it was needed in the run game. It seems like they're doing a lot of the same stuff and getting almost even worse results. And that part post-bye is pretty concerning for me.
Okay. Let's switch some gears. Nwosu, is he going to play on Sunday against Arizona? Signs pointing towards he may?
I think it's good that he's been practicing. I'm not sure quite yet. It might be like a pain tolerance thing. Everybody's injury is different. DK was just talking about feeling like he had blood in his cleat. It turns out his foot was just numb, and it went unnumb, and then he played and he was fine. Everybody's a little different. We've seen guys miss multiple weeks because they hurt their toe hurts. And then we see guys like DK play through a broken foot. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure on Chenna. If he does get back, that would be great. I think the defense is really just locked in with or without him. Really, I can't really overstate like how well they're playing like fundamentally. When I look at a defense, this is why I was so high on those first 3 weeks. It wasn't that they just played the Dolphins or Broncos or whatever. It was they were doing the right things. They were in the right place. There wasn't a ton of coverage bust. They tackled super well, which is super easy to assess. I don't need to be a genius to know, hey, you guys suck at tackling or you don't. Like right now, they're excellent at tackling. You're not seeing a bunch of wide open dudes because of coverage stuff. Even in that last Cardinals game, like those guys, or the Niners game too. Juwan Jennings, he went off, but he had to make a ton of contested catches, in that game. Some of the bombs Kyler threw to people not named Trey McBride were contested stuff. You can live with that, at the end of the day. So I think the defense, if they get Chenna back, that'd be great, obviously, I really think that would help their pass rush, which is like very hit or miss right now. But overall, I'm not that. You want to talk about optimism? That side of the ball, Puck, is rolling. When I watch the tape of them, I want to cry a tear of joy, man. It's what football. It's what it's supposed to look like, and it's what it looked like in Baltimore. There were some plays in the game against the Jets in particular, where he didn't know what was going on. He's like, am I getting blitzed or am I not? He was just getting the pick six, perfect example. He thought he was hot. He thought I had a wide open slant to Garrett because they're showing pressure. They dropped 8 dudes. And he threw out anyway and got picked off by a lineman.
Like you still feel like you're getting pressure. It's like the last play of the game. You got Kobe Bryant. What was it, the second or third time he's ever blitzed?
Fourth. It was the fourth time Kobe's rushed passer all year. Fourth time. Fourth and 15. Just pulled it out his bat. Oh my goodness. And that was only a 3-man rush, 3 or 4. But they looked like they were in. It was a 3-man rush, but they were in like cover 0, which is all out blitz. It was nuts, man. Mike. See, like these little scheme things. You can just tell. You can just tell when a coordinator is kind of locked in. And his guys are prepared and know what they're doing, and you can tell they're holding the guys accountable too. Like Tariq kind of half-assed the 3rd and 26 check down or whatever. You can see Julian Love just screaming at him, like, dude, no, that's not our stand. Get your ass to the ball, and that's good. That's what you want to see. You see a little bit of that from Geno. That's not kind of how he gets down, but sure. I feel like they could use somebody like that. I think on offense, maybe somebody particularly up front. Just to really like, hey, yo, we're not to our standard. We're a great offense. Let's go be great. Doesn't mean demean guys and tell them they suck, but just a reminder of like, we have a standard here. We're not doing it, because the defense, boy, Puck, they're doing that. They are
fast.
rolling right now.
Fast and physical, and I think the two guys in the back end are playing some of the best football in Love and Witherspoon. They're making plays left and right. They're getting in people's faces. It's just there's this old attitude that's been missing for many years with that defense. I think those two guys, one is more brash about it, how he goes about it, but it's fun. It's right. It's the guy. He's like the Witherspoon is like the Sherman of it. And Love is more like the silent, Cam Chancellor type of player, and it's fun to watch. Special teams, which was just a freaking disaster against the Jets. What are they going to do on kickoff and punt return?
So this was a funny experience. My wife had the Sunday off, so she took my daughter to go play. So she didn't watch the game. So I was watching the highlights the other day in the living room, and she had never seen the game. Mm-hmm. So she is watching this in real time, all these special team snafus, and she is screaming at the TV. She's like, these guys suck. What is going on? She's like, there's no way. Like when LaVisca muffed the second one, she doesn't know that he picks it up and tries to. So she's experiencing that in real time. She's like, you got to be kidding me. She's like, you got to be kidding me. And that's how I felt in real time. My thing with the kick return in real time, actually, I was like, there's just no reason to put these guys back out there. I feel like that's actually a position where they have a ton of options. You can obviously put Tyler back there at kickoff. He'll be fine. You can put Kenny McIntosh back there. Trey Brown was a great returner at Oklahoma. Jackson can field punts. They just have an unlimited amount of options, I think. It should be a very like when they cut LaVisca on Monday, I was like, yeah. People looked them down the roster and they're like, we're fine. We don't even got to sign a guy or anything. Though it was funny, Puck, you'll appreciate this as a coup. I ran into Aesop in the tunnel. On Sunday, he's on the Jets practice squad.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's on the Jets practice squad.
Bring him back.
Signed him last week. Yeah, I was joking. I was like, dog, they could use you right now. I never understood why they cut him anyway.
Yeah.
Because I actually thought he could give them something at the job. His regular job. You know what I mean? That's where I never really understood the commitment. LaVisca wasn't too bad before Sunday, but in D in particular, I was just like that Falcons game, for instance. I was like, you're down 1 million corners and he's still not playing? Mm-hmm. Well, if he's not giving you no juice at corner, he better be Devin Hester, for me to still roster you, because they were down. I pulled Josh Jobe off the practice squad, played him every snap, So in the Falcons game, Josh is good now, but that game really was eye-opening. I was like, if you don't trust him in this game, then you need a new returner. So, and I'm one of those guys. Kickers and punt returners, I view that job in a very binary sense. Kicker, did you make it or not? No, get out. Justin Tucker, I'd punt him to the moon. Same thing with the kicker. I don't care if you're Devin Hester mixed with Dante Hall, mixed with Deion Sanders. If you can't catch that ball, I am not putting you. You're not on the team. There's no way. So I think what I would do if they asked me, I would put Jackson at punt, and I would have Kenny McIntosh and Trey Brown be my kickoff returners. Yeah, Trey be my primary guy.
Yeah, it appeared. I don't know if maybe you watched the TV copy later.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw what you referenced.
You saw what JSN was like, put me back there.
And I think he's like one of their he practices punts, so he's not, I think he was listed there at the preseason. Actually, I got the thing in front of me now. Yeah, he's listed as their backup punt returner. Yeah, Jackson is. So I haven't asked Jackson. We're lip reading from TV, but sure. That does look like that's what he was. I didn't ask him, but yeah, that looks like what he was saying. Yeah, I'd put him back there. I'm not really one of those people who worries too much about the injury of the punt guy. I really feel like the guys who are more danger of the injury are the gunners. Those guys. Those guys are flying.
That's football suicide. Is what that is. That's
yeah. Well, Julian Love is on punt coverage, and I've been kind of scared of that. Yeah, he's on punt coverage still. Making $15 million a year, playing every snap on defense, and he's on So after the game, when he was asked, "Did you know Michael Dixon was hurt?" He was like, "Yeah, because I'm on the punt team." Which was a reminder. I knew that, but it was a reminder. Like, yo, he's still covering punts.
Yeah, get him out. I don't need him covering punts.
I'm scared of that. I'm more scared of that every week than I am.
I agree.
Jackson potentially he's flying 1 million, miles an hour. Going against the guy. He should stop doing that. Speaking
of Dixon, what's the if he can't go to do who is it? Is it Myers?
They'd have to sign a punter. They have to sign a punter because Jason Jason can kick, but he's not it doesn't sound like he's super confident in it. It was funny. I was talking to Ken Walker after the game. I was like, "Did you know that Mike was Mike Dixon?" Yeah, he was like, "Nah." I was like, "What?" It's like, yeah, man. J-Mod just came up to me and was like, yo, man, I got to punt. And Ken was like, why are you punting? I'm like, yo, because Mike is hurt. He's like, oh, damn. That sucks. We ain't got no punter. And Lakin Tomlinson didn't know at all. He was like, I was like, why'd you think you were going for it on 4th and 6? He was like, I just thought we were dropping our nuts. I was like,
yeah, I read that. That was a good one.
I was like, yeah, no, you weren't, but hey, good for you guys. But yeah, they have to sign a punter or puck. I'm a team never kick.
Yeah, just come on, old Leech, let's go.
Yeah, go for or just have we do a Wazoo. We had our guy when our punter was hurt most of the year. We just had him doing the rugby kick. A kicker can do the rugby kick. I don't think now the standing one, maybe not, but the rugby kick, yeah, Jason can do that.
Yeah. Like what we do in youth football. Like we just drop our quarterback back farther than he kicks it.
Yeah, I mean,
it goes 10 yards, but whatever.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with you lining up and going for it, and then just running some 4 verts, run some go balls. If the DB is dumb enough to catch it, it's an arm punt. To get a little fair DPI.
Point. That's a fair point. I didn't even think about that.
It would take some adjusting, I'm sure, for the DBs to not catch it. In that situation,
they want to get it so bad.
You want your stats. You think you can run it back for a touchdown because that's what you did when you were a kid or in college. Yeah, it would take at least a game or two for guys to be like, hey, no, let it drop. But you still have to worry like, oh, damn, DK's here. But yeah, they'd have to sign in all seriousness, they'd have to sign a punter. Okay. If Mike can't go. I talked to Dixon after the game. I was like, yo, what happened? He was like, I don't know, man. My back just seized up.
He's getting old, man.
That's what. Yeah, I was like, thinking, man, you drafted in 2018. You're not that old for your back to just be spazzing up at however old.
Yeah, he's got more years for that. You wait till you get in your 40s, Dixon.
Oh my goodness! Happens. Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, dude. Yeah. I was like, you all right? He's like, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he got like a first class seat going back because I can't think of many things worse for your back than a 5.5 hour flight or whatever back to New York or back to Seattle from New York. That was probably awful. Hopefully he's okay because he's also their holder. I think that's also equally important. I think Brady Russell is their backup holder, but it's the reps thing. It takes one bad hold to change a game,
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. Serious. I didn't. Yeah, that's a bigger deal than people realize. I mean, we went through it, college football, Washington State, because we had our punter was out all year long. Mateer was the holder, and Janikowski was having his worst season as a kicker. And I interviewed him, and he said, "Listen, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but you just have to understand a fraction of that ball is off that you're used to it being held a certain way means everything." And so just that little piece. So we'll see if Dixon can get back there. All right, Michael-Shawn Dugar, the Dugar Report with us every Thursday. Co-host Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast, of course, covers the Seahawks up there for The Athletic. What you mentioned the story a few times. When does the short yardage story come out on The Athletic?
So my editor actually just told me he's off this week, so I got to figure that out. But it'll be out. It'll be out this week. Okay. I want to say it should be tomorrow. Should be out. Yeah, it should be out tomorrow. Make sure you definitely go check out Seahawks Man to Man. We just interviewed Teo Mackey, covers the Cardinals for the Arizona Republic.
Oh, great.
When we talked to him to preview this matchup. We're gonna have our film review coming out Friday evening, as we usually do, before I head out to Arizona on Saturday. And we also have our One Big Thing segment that is there with our guest preview show. Where I talked a little bit about what I was mentioning with Mike Macdonald and scheming, because man, I'm telling you guys, Mike Macdonald is in that groove. He's gonna get that little dad bump too. He just had a kid. He's on a roll right now. So hopefully that keeps up. Shout out to his son Jack for knowing not to come on a Sunday. Oh yeah, good call. Great. How about that? Yeah, congrats to the worst. Mike and his wife Stephanie. Yeah, that'd have been tough. They were in New York, Puck. Imagine that. Get that call, man. You're in New York.
And you want to be there for it. You don't want to miss that.
And you got to. Nick Ballore had to deal with that last time they were in New York. He had to fly back the morning of the game to go catch his wife's. I think they had a girl. But either way, that was that. I'm glad Mike got to be there for that. As someone who was just there for his daughter's birth, missing that. I would never forgive myself for missing that. So.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You don't want to be there. You don't want to miss that. All right, we'll chat with you next week, and again, catch all of Mike's work up at the Athletic, athletic.com. Get a subscription, please. They've always got a deal. I'm telling you. You wait 1 week, they'll get another deal the next week. They'll
That's
always
right.
get a deal there at the Athletic, and then go catch all of his work with our good buddy Christopher Kidd on the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, where you can find those podcasts anywhere, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Blue Wire, right? Correct? It's brought to you by Blue Wire?
Yep, Blue Wire Pods. Yep.
Okay. All right, Mike, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, sir.
Go Cougs.
There, go Cougs as well. All right, there is our conversation earlier this morning there with Michael-Shawn Dugar. Then I cleaned up for the show, you know what I mean? Big thanks to Mike for jumping on. He's got like a baby duty, all right? He's a new dad. We're fortunate to have Mike on every single week talking Seahawks football. Go read all of his work again at The Athletic. I'm glad Jason Jinx is still alive. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if he was. Again, Mike's work, The Athletic. Get a subscription if you don't have one. They got deals all the time. Also, Michael-Shawn Dugar in the Seahawks Man to Man podcast with our good friend Christopher Kidd, wherever you find your podcasts. Yeah, the heat's turning up on Ryan Grubb. We'll see. Yesterday with Rob State and today with Michael-Shawn Dugar. I agree and disagree. I do agree that, probably the final 5 games will be an evaluation. I don't know how Mike McDonald feels about what the offense. I mean, it's always been a topic here recently, last week or this week saying that, hey, we need to figure out our goal line situation. So, again, I think I'd preach patience here with Ryan Grubb. I would not make a move. I think there's a very talented signal caller, a very talented play caller in there. And I think a lot of the issues right now with what they're going through offensively, the majority of that is based on because of the protection issues, the run blocking issues. You can't get to the majority of your playbook and what you want to do. And, you become a little bit predictable. And why do they throw so much out of the shotgun? Because they got to be out of the shotgun because they can't protect. Can't. They got to get the ball out fast. And it's easier to do it out of the shotgun rather than being under center. All right, let's get to it before we wrap up the Daily Puck Drop here on a Thursday, by the way. And of course, we wrap it up with, hey, What the Puck? Brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com. North Seattle franchise. All right. We're going to go back to baseball here real quick. Luis Severino got a 3-year, $67 million deal today from the A's. F you, A's, for now spending money. Why do I bring it up? It is time. We opened up the show with it. We'll recap it again. It's the time. You've got to trade Luis Castillo. Now, hopefully he would waive his no-trade clause. You've got to deal him. The time is right. It is people want pitching. They are spending crazy amount of money on pitching. Castillo's got a deal that's 3 years left on it. Yes, he's got the no trade. Players waive it all the time. $72 million. That is a bargain for a player like Castillo. He is a much better pitcher than Luis Severino. Matt Boyd got a 2-year deal for $29 million. Blake Snell got a 5-year deal for $182 million. This is an organization that likes to strip payroll. They do. That's why Rojas isn't here anymore. But what Castillo would bring back for you, I think would be a good piece. Good piece offensively. Because, again, as we've detailed before, free agent wise, just not a lot out there. Not a lot out there. Ha-Sung Kim for the Padres, they're not going to get him. Too expensive. Ha-Sung Kim, if I'm saying that right, the kid that was posted yesterday, that makes perfect sense for them because of the cost-saving nature of it. Something like that. What would they do at third base? I don't know. Divish told me yesterday when it comes down to Turner and Carlos Santana. Expect him to, he would side that they would probably bring Carlos Santana back. So they're not going to do anything that's going to obviously break the bank. So if they're going to find someone that can improve their baseball team, they've got to do it via trade. And none of us want them to move, and nor should they move any of their young pitchers, especially Gilbert or Kirby for Alec Bohm. That'd be insane to do. Major League Baseball is starving for starting pitching. They got a plethora of it. Deal them now to a contender, get some players back. Do it now. All right, that's Hey What the Puck, again, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property, okay? They're going to take care of you. When anything happens and you freak it out, give those guys a call. All right, before we wrap up the show, come up tomorrow, Friday, a lot of housekeeping stuff. Voicemails, we'll bring voicemails back if we get them. I think, one or two, but if we could use more voicemails. Funny, doesn't have to be funny. Sound off on Grubb. You can sound off on the Cougs, where the Seahawks are, the Mariners, but we do enjoy funny. That phone number, of course, to leave a voicemail. And here's the deal with the voicemails. You're not restricted by 30 seconds. I'll tell you that. 425-577-7272. 425-577-7272. If you forget the number, just go to pucksports.com. You'll see the number up there in the right-hand corner. All right, so there's that. Also, tomorrow, Chris Egan's on tomorrow. Lofa Tatupu's on tomorrow. He's part of our new NFL coverage there, Seahawks coverage on Fridays. He's on tomorrow. Jim's back tomorrow. Handicapper Troy Wins is back on tomorrow. Reminder, 3A, I'll be on the broadcast tomorrow night for the 3A state championship game between O'Day and Bellevue, NFHS Network. That's a mouthful for me. Hopefully I don't screw it up tomorrow. And, of course, and the WIAA. 7 o'clock tomorrow on the network at Husky Stadium. Tune in. We'll go on pregame about 20 minutes before. Really looking forward to it. Talked to both coaches last night. Just a joy. Michael Knipe and Monty Kohler, two of the best. And, very different. And, history's on the line tomorrow for Monty. One more win, and he will tie the all-time mark in the history of our state for wins in high school football with Sid Otten. Sid Otten, who's just a legendary coach. So was Monty. Those legendary teams there for Tumwater. So tune into the call tomorrow, NFHS Network, WIA, 3A state championship game, number 1 Bellevue, number 2 O'Day. All right, lastly, the last thing before we go, we got to announce another winner for the Pucks Posse community membership. Again, as I mentioned before, you want to become and want full access and VIP content and get all the content that I have been producing and don't want to miss a thing, sign up. It's only $5 a month, $54 for a year if you sign up for the annual membership. Sharing the screen right now. You can go to pucksports.com. The link is above there on the website. You can also go to patreon.com and search Puck Sports. Right now, our Diamond Table off-season Mariners show is up there. Video and audio, 2.5 hours with Ryan Divish, Adam Jude, Jim Duquette, Bill Kruger, and Brad Adam. And every month for the next year, next 12 months, we're giving away a $100 package to anyone that signs up. And our first winner was Jeffrey McDowell, who received a $100 prize package, the Pucks Posse prize package, which is $50 to John Howie Steak, $25 to Georgetown Brewery, and $25 to Flat Stick Pub. Well, we got another winner because that was November. Our December winner for the $100 prize package, which I just put in like a randomizer and just puts out a name. Jeff Augustine. Jeff Augustine has won the $100 Pucks Posse community membership giveaway for December. $50 to John Howie, $25 to Georgetown Brewery, and $25 to Flat Stick Pub. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you to everyone that has signed up. Really, really appreciate it. Again, more exclusive content is coming up very soon. Weekly content as well, so don't miss out. Sign up today for as little as $5 a month, which is nothing. It's not even a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee is more than $5 for God's sakes. And then you get a discount, 10% discount if you sign up for a year. Okay. If you're coming into the live show late, for those listening later, we go live every day at 10 a.m. to 11:30, but now it's 11:44. All of today's show, in case you missed it, up on YouTube. Please subscribe there. Also, you can listen to it Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast. And for all those that were sending me notes, including my Larry, that were ranking. I guess Spotify sends out their rankings of podcasts towards the end of the year. And everyone who sent me a screenshot of saying, hey, look who's number 1 or number 2 or number 3 on my list of listenings here. Thank you. It means a lot. Really does. Stuff like that is awesome. It's awesome to get great feedback. It's awesome to not get negative feedback, but it's great to get positive feedback. So thank you for all who have been tuning in here for the last 8+ months and watching and listening and however you do it. And, of course, you can find everything up at pucksports.com. All right, we'll see you tomorrow on a Friday edition of the radio show. Until then, as always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!